There is one truth prisons around the world know better than anyone. If a person is brutal enough, cold enough, and determined enough, no wall will hold them. History is full of those who didn't just kill, but managed to escape after conviction, leaving behind bodies, fear, and months of manhunts. Today, the top 10 killers who pulled off the impossible, breaking out, slipping past guards, and disappearing. Some were caught, some are still out there, and each one is a nightmare made real. Number 10. Alain Leger, the monster of Miramichi. Canada didn't call him just a murderer, they called him the monster of Miramichi, and he earned that name. In 1986, Leger took part in a robbery that ended in the death of a man. He went to prison, but not for long. During a hospital visit, he used a makeshift key to unlock his restraints, burst into the hallway with an improvised knife, and simply walked out through the main entrance. For the next 7 months, the town lived in hell. Leger murdered women, a priest, set homes on fire, and tore apart families, streets, entire neighborhoods. Police weren't hunting a man, they were hunting a storm. In 1989, he was caught and sentenced to life for the horrors he committed while free. Number 9. Donald Leroy Evans. The man who confessed to 70 murders, Evans was a clinical manipulator. Officially, only 2 murders were proven. He claimed he had committed 70. After his arrest, he confessed to all of them, but investigators could link him to just one additional case. In June 1993, Evans escaped from jail with 3 other inmates. His freedom lasted barely more than a single day. He was found in a shed. Later, in 1999, he was killed by another inmate inside a Mississippi prison. Some killers don't just escape. They do it as if prison was nothing more than a brief pause in their murder career. And these two are the perfect example. Number 8. Lyda Southard, America's first black widow. Before the 20th century, female serial killers were almost never reported. But Lyda Southard changed the rules. From 1912 to 1920, she married 4 times. And all 4 husbands suddenly died from mysterious illnesses. Only later did experts find arsenic in their bodies. Southard was arrested, convicted of second-degree murder, and sent to prison. But her prison term turned into a love story. One of the guards fell hopelessly in love with her. She used that weakness. She sawed through her cell bars, tied together blankets to make a rope, and climbed down the prison wall like something out of a movie. For 15 months, she lived freely, and even managed to get married for the 6th time. Only then was she caught. Number 7. Sarah Jo Pender, the female Charles Manson. In 2002, Pender received a 110-year sentence for orchestrating the murder of 2 roommates. She didn't pull the trigger, but investigators proved she planned everything from the start. Prison didn't slow down her manipulation. She gained the trust of a guard, convinced him to help smuggle her out, secured a vehicle, and walked out of prison as easily as someone leaving a store. On the outside, she became Ashley Thompson, changed her appearance, job, and circle of friends. But after 4.5 months, a neighbor recognized her from an episode of America's Most Wanted. Pender was arrested again, and she still claims she never posed a danger to anyone. Some escapees don't just run, they turn freedom into a new hunting ground. These 2 are the deadliest examples. Number 6. Gonzalo Lopez, the killer who returned to finish the job. Gonzalo Lopez received a life sentence back in 2006 for the kidnapping and murder of Jose Ramirez. 2 years later, he got a second life sentence for opening fire on police officers. But his worst crime came long after. In May 2022, he was being transported with 15 other inmates. During the ride, Lopez slipped out of his restraints, attacked the driver, jumped out into the woods, and vanished. Days of searching, helicopters, dogs, hundreds of officers, but Lopez made it farther than anyone expected. 2 weeks later, he broke into a Texas ranch where a family of 5 was staying, 4 children and their grandfather. Lopez killed all of them. That same evening, he got into a shootout with police and was killed on the spot. His escape became one of the most tragic in U.S. history, 5 victims in a matter of hours. Number 5. James Earl Ray, the man who murdered Martin Luther King Jr. James Earl Ray was already a fugitive when he committed one of the most infamous murders of the 20th century. In 1967, he escaped from the Missouri State Penitentiary, where he was serving 20 years for armed robbery. A year later, he traveled to Memphis and assassinated Martin Luther King Jr., the face of the civil rights movement. Ray spent 2 months on the run. He was finally caught at Heathrow Airport in London. He received a 99-year sentence, but even that didn't stop him. In 1977, he escaped again, along with 6 other inmates. They built a ladder out of metal pipes and scaled a 10-foot wall. His freedom lasted 3 days. Ray was captured 8 miles from the prison. He escaped twice, and every time returned to history as a symbol of hatred powerful enough to alter destinies. Sometimes an escape isn't an attempt to hide. It's the beginning of a war against the system. These two proved that one man can paralyze an entire state. Number 4. Joseph Christopher Garcia, member of the Texas 7. On December 13, 2007, inmates from the John B. Connolly unit in Texas tracked every minute of the daily schedule. They studied blind spots, knew exactly when the guards looked away, and understood every officer's temperament. That day, during lunchtime, they seized the armory, put on guard uniforms, and calmly walked out through the main entrance. One of them was Joseph Christopher Garcia, serving time for the murder of Miguel Luna. On the outside, the Texas 7 turned into an armed gang. They robbed stores and businesses, and after one robbery, they shot and killed police officer Aubrey Hawkins. This escalated the chase to a federal level. All of Texas was mobilized. They were caught a few weeks later after appearing on an episode of America's Most Wanted. Garcia denied shooting the officer, but under Texas law, every member of the group carried equal responsibility. On December 4, 2018, Garcia was executed. Number 3. Nikolai Zhumagaliev, Metal Fang. The cannibal serial killer Nikolai Zhumagaliev is one of the most terrifying criminals in the entire former Soviet Union. Not just because of the murders, but because of how he killed. He murdered at least 10 people. Some he dismembered, some he ate. The court found him insane and placed him in a high-security psychiatric facility. But in 1989, he managed to escape, simply exploiting chaos and weak security. For 2 years, he moved across Kazakhstan, Russia, and other republics, allegedly killing more people along the way. Even investigators feared him. Their reports described him as extremely dangerous, exceptionally brutal. In the end, he turned himself in. Tired of wandering through the mountains, Zhumagaliev deliberately attracted attention and was recognized as the notorious cannibal. Today, he is once again locked inside a psychiatric hospital, remaining one of the darkest figures in criminal history. Number 2. Ted Bundy, one of the darkest names in criminal history. Ted Bundy was a serial killer who managed to escape twice in 7 months. The first escape was bold to the point of absurdity. The court allowed him to act as his own attorney, so he wasn't shackled. He walked up to the courthouse library, opened a window, and simply jumped out of the 2nd floor, disappearing into the city. They found him 6 days later, but he did the impossible again. During his second escape, Bundy carved a hole through the ceiling of his cell, so small no one believed a human could fit through it. But he did. He built a fake body under his blanket out of books and pillows, crawled through ventilation, entered the residential wing, and walked out. He remained free for almost 2 months, and during that time he killed 3 more women. After being caught, he was sentenced to death. Number 1. Norman Johnson, the Ghost Johnson. The most legendary escape, still debated by criminologists today. Johnson was a master of disguise, a bank robber and killer who became famous for slipping out of any chase. Sentenced to life, he managed to create an exact replica of a prison key using soap, paper, and cloth. He forged a guard's uniform, forged documents, and walked out through the main gates of the prison, greeting the convoy like a real employee. They couldn't find him for 40 years. Officially, he is still considered a fugitive, though some believe he died under a new identity at an old age. No body, no evidence, nothing. These people aren't romantic criminals, and they are not heroes. They are a reminder of how fragile the system truly is, and how dangerous those become who have already escaped once. Every one of these breakouts is a story of deceived security, human cunning and brutality. And the scariest part, many of those who escaped didn't do it for freedom, but to kill again.